Okay, and the meeting is being recorded. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to begin by sharing the agenda so we can take a look at that. Okay, can everyone see that? Okay, just shout out because now you've disappeared.
We can see it.
Okay, great. All right, so as far as assessment fellows, okay, we spoke with Alice, okay, about the fact that the load is not being distributed equitably since MCL-CTL has twice as many programs as the next nearest division. And she was in favor of adding an additional fellow. That's likely to not be feasible because it's kind of hard to get folks to volunteer for these types of positions, even with the load. She was also open to increasing the load for that position. What do you all think about that? Anybody got any feedback or comments? But she was really amenable to whatever we were describing. I think at this point, what we need is we need to make sure all of these positions are filled by late September when the HLC gets here. So it kind of looks like we have an engaged faculty with assessment. Right now we have two. We have Jess and Brielle who have reapplied. Is that correct, folks?
Oh, you can't see my thumbs up.
I
Yes.
cannot see anything. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
We're confirming.
You're confirming. Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
we've reached out to some folks in CFAS and MCL-CTL and MSE. Okay. There is some interest, but it's like lukewarm at this point. We spoke to Mario from CFAS, and I know he has the issue of trying to balance a production with the amount of meeting time that this type of a position entails. When he's in production mode, he's kind of filling at least 6 different roles, so it's difficult for him to take on something like this. As far as MCL-CTL, Carrie mentioned to me, we reached out to Sonia and haven't heard back from her, but Carrie kind of brought it up herself, saying that she might be interested in learning more about assessment. Again, my concern with Carrie is just, would she have enough time since she's the lead for 4 separate programs? I mean, she'd be a great addition because of that, but again, we're trying not to overwhelm folks. I mean, contrary to what the experience has been, we try to keep things balanced. And then for MSE, we reached out to Yvette, haven't heard back from Yvette. I thought she'd be a great choice. And then also to Bashir, since Bashir has become a plaintiff this May. So we'll see if anything happens with those folks. Okay, so again, please feel free, existing fellows, to reach out to people in your division who might be interested. And we have one other request for you. When the HLC comes in September, if you wouldn't mind kind of putting on your fellow hat just one last time and sharing your experience, because if we do get new people in these roles, they're not going to have a whole lot of experience by the time the HLC comes in September. So if you guys wouldn't mind just acting like assessment fellows one more time when they come. I have no idea what the format of their meetings with us will be. In the past, they wanted to meet with small groups related to specific areas. And my understanding from other colleges that have recently gone through either a mid-cycle report or a 10-year, they don't do that anymore. They tend to meet with larger groups. So not sure. Okay, but we'll all learn about it together. Hopefully we'll get some input from Matt Ashcraft and from Alice about, you know, how this is all going to play out once we get closer. Any fellows got any other updates? Okay, so as far as assessment progress for spring 2026, you'll notice we tend to, oh, I'm sorry, Carl, I didn't see your hand.
It's okay. I wasn't sure if it was actually working because it said my hand was raised, but it wasn't showing up that way.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
so
I can't
as
see
far
you,
as
so.
as far as the MSE one goes, I'm willing to do it. The only problem is if all my classes make, I will be at 23 load
Yeah,
and wouldn't be able to
you
do it.
you won't get paid, so no.
Right. Well,
Again,
I don't care, but my wife does.
as I said, professionals get paid, so let's not do it for free.
Sure.
And again, not only that, we appreciate that, Carl. I mean, we appreciate your willingness to do that, and you've been a fantastic fellow. Um, One good thing about rotating new people in is more and more folks, you broaden the base of understanding about assessment and program review. And I think that's especially important when we talk to the HLC. They don't want to just talk to a handful of folks who know what's going on. We kind of need to portray that the whole college knows what's going on. So, you know,
I
I think
agree
that's,
100%.
yeah. So, but thank you so much. And all of you, I mean, your support has been invaluable. We can't thank you enough for being willing to step into this role. Probably not even understanding what it was at the beginning, but we sure appreciate you, and we appreciate your willingness to move forward with us. So we have between 27 and 30 programs. The reason for the vagary is MCLCTL is currently in the process of untangling some of their programs. There are several CIS and computer science programs that share a large number of courses, and the program reviews were written as, how should I put this? They were written as all together, you know, so like CIS general was written with cybersecurity, kind of because they shared so many courses. And Carrie and Sonia are actually spending part of the semester trying to untangle these, okay, and have them as separate programs. So we originally counted 30. Right now there are 27, and hopefully we'll be back up to 30 once the untangling is finished by the end of May. Okay, so in case you were wondering, you know, wait, I thought we had 30 programs. The answer is, yeah, we think so. Okay, now we've got one program that has completed all of its PLOs. Yay, kudos to Carl, it's engineering. Okay, so that one is completely done as far as assessment. Most programs are at least halfway done because we had decided at the beginning we were going to assess all the PLOs over a 3-year period. Okay, so basically, just to remind everybody, we have some, I'm going to switch to a tracker for the PLOs. Can everybody see this tracker? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so basically these are PLO assessments by division. Okay, and the ones that are highlighted in yellow are super, super important. They're all important, but the highlighted yellow ones are the ones that are reassessments where in a previous semester the program lead determined, or the faculty determined, that students didn't meet the threshold for proficiency on the PLO. So what we've decided to do at the recommendation of our peer reviewers is reassess these in the spring, so we have data that we made a change and we reassessed. So we're actually using assessment data to make changes. Okay, so these highlighted ones, accounting, AJS, cybersecurity, math, history, and storytelling, are super, super important that we get them by May 20th. Okay, the reason for the May 20th date is that's the last time Christine and I are going to have the opportunity to edit the notice report. Okay, it's going to be coming back one more time with feedback from district executive administrators, like think chancellor, provost, those folks. And we're going to get to see it between May 15th and May 30th. So we'll have the opportunity to put data into the report then. So program fellows, assessment fellows, please reach out to these folks in particular and make sure before they disappear for sun and fun over the summer that we have their assessment data. Anybody questions about that? Okay, so these are the PLOs that are in progress. And again, I've shared this with you. This is at the top, go ahead, of our agenda. Somebody have a comment? All right, again, this is up at the top over here as one of the trackers. Okay, so basically, that's where we're at. Okay. All righty. I don't think we have anyone here. Is anyone here from Student Affairs? Again, I can't see who's attending. Anyone here from Student Affairs? Okay, because we're going to be needing updates to co-curricular assessment, and that would be student life. And I think Lucero was going to do the Express Yourself event, okay, as far as providing some assessment data. She may have done like a pre-post survey on that. And we've spoken to Jennifer, and Jennifer is set to do honors again. So again, we kind of need these to all wrap up if they're going to be part of our evidence. And what HLC wants to see is that we can sustain the effort, that we didn't just do it once and then drop it on the floor, that we can sustain the effort from semester to semester. So Christine and I'll reach out to the co-curricular folks just to make sure they're on board for that. Okay. Okay, so going forward, we said last month that we wanted to discuss how to proceed, okay, given the situation we're in. Okay, as we mentioned above, most of the programs are about half complete with their PLOs. So in the fall, what do you think we should do? Should we continue with that cycle and get everybody else finished nominally? And then what should we do after that when we start our next cycle? Should we assess the same PLOs? Should we pick 6 in different courses? What do you think? The floor is open.
I guess, Marianne, my question would be, what would be the advantage of doing them again versus picking new ones?
Again, that's exactly my point. Since the majority of them, we assessed 72 by the end of fall 25, and we have another 43 that are being assessed this semester. Out of those, only 8 didn't meet the instructor's threshold for proficiency. So I agree with you. The vast majority of our PLOs, the students are meeting the outcomes. So yay us, right? They're learning what we think they should be learning. So I guess I'm asking you, strategy-wise, in the fall, should we finish the existing cycle? What do you think about that? And then secondly, what should we do after that?
Well, Marianne, I think we should complete what we've laid out. And then, I mean, don't we have to, there's a couple ways of looking at it. I mean, I think, don't we have to start over, right?
We do
Because
have to
you're
start
never-
over, but I guess what I'm saying is, as Richard pointed out, we don't want to do the same thing again. Maybe what we could do is pick 6 PLOs, so we're only assessing 1 per semester.
I thought that's all we were, I mean, that's
It
How is
depends,
that
it
different from
depends
what we're doing?
entirely on your program. Some
Yeah.
programs had 14 PLOs,
Ah,
like math, for example, we had 12. Okay, so
yeah.
it's been a struggle. We've had to do more than one each semester. There are some programs where they only had 5, so it was real easy for them to get done in 3 years. That's part of the reason why we're not finished, because
Well, my
not
thing
everybody
is,
did multiple ones.
I'm really excited to see what happens with the products that we're looking at, because as the director of a program, what I would love to have, you know, in some ideal universe is that my assessments are built in to all my courses, and every semester I'm assessing everything, right?
Yep.
Or I'm assessing the PLOs that are associated with the courses that I'm teaching every time I teach it, and every semester I'm looking at that. But, you know, obviously that's going to take the kind of tools that it would be better if we have the tools that we've been looking at to help me manage something like that. But that's way in the future, so I don't know.
Yeah, as far as what Liz is referring to, for those of you who didn't make the demo, I guess it was about a week ago, Jeremy Tuddy, who's the CTLA director at Chandler Gilbert, was nice enough to give us a demo of Helio Campus as it's installed at Chandler Gilbert. And it's really slick in the sense, as Liz says, it frees faculty to just teach. All they have to do is set up their PLOs, ILOs, all that stuff, and rubrics, and then the data is automatically transferred from Canvas into Helio Campus and summarized. So there's not the same business of, yeah, you still have to build a rubric, you still have to grade according to the rubric, but then you don't have to worry about downloading the data and filling out, you know, a Google form or something like that. So it kind of takes load off faculty. The downside, I mean, even if we can afford the software, I'm not sure we have the people resources to support Helio Campus. Because Jeremy made the comment, he said, you have to make sure your administration is going to support you personnel wise, because he is an assessment person, he's a data person, he's a Canvas administrator, and he's an instructional designer all rolled into one. And he said it was a huge lift for him and the IT people to do it by themselves. It took them the better part of 3 years to implement. Okay, we don't have the same resources that Chandler Gilbert has. We don't have a Jeremy, basically. So I'm wondering, you know, even with their experience, whether it would be feasible for us to try this. What do you think? Those of you who actually saw the demo in particular, or anybody, what do you think?
Carl has his hand up. Carl, forgive me, I'm going to weigh in since she asked. But I think that this is an existential crisis. We know that, right? And we know this is something that we have to implement in a systemic way going forward. It's never going to be over. It's got to be part of our culture, like writing a syllabus and everything else. And if this is what's going to keep our institution alive and thriving, then I think it's on the administration or the district or whoever to find the resources for not just us, but every college to meet this demand. And I that may be pie in the sky, but what we're doing now is not sustainable, and we know it. So I've said this to Veronica many, many times. You know, this is something that we must figure out how to do this. We have positions on campus that on other campuses are dedicated to this kind of work. And I know it's not as simple as just saying that, given people's background and experience and even what they want their job to be. But at the same time, things have to change so that we can meet this obligation to our community and our accrediting agency in a sustainable and productive way going forward. The data is great to have. It's really helpful to have this data and to be able to look at it without having to devote an unreasonable amount of energy to doing it.
What's nice about Heliocampus is the way it'll aggregate and present reports, so you don't have to just see your own stuff in a microcosm. You can kind of see it all together. Right now, what we're doing to kind of summarize data in case HLC actually wants to see the results of our assessment is we have a Mondo Google workbook with 30 odd pages in it, and we're kind of summarizing that data with charts, Google, Excel charts. So yeah, the software is really slick, and it has also feeds into an accreditation module, which you can buy extra, which Chandler Gilbert has done. So when it comes time for them to do their next 10-year report for HLC, they've got all the data right there, and it's feeding right in to the accreditation piece. So I'm not going to lie, the software definitely makes it easier. It's just we have to consider if we can actually get it off the ground. Carl, did you have a comment or a question?
So I don't know how I'm going to be able to follow up with Liz on this, but I'm going to try. You had asked about the PLOs for the next cycle. That's what you and I have been talking about for the past month. I'm speaking as the engineering program coordinator now. I don't know, because I just found out that the 2 classes that all engineering disciplines are required to take are up for their 5-year review next year, which means and from my perspective, most of the PLOs that we did the assessments for were in those 2 classes, because those are the ones that everybody has to take. And if there are any changes to it, they would go into effect starting in fall 2028, and that would be in the middle of the new cycle. And so I don't really know. I mean, we could do assessment, but then it changes in the middle of it, and this is what you and I talked about, is that we would end up having to redo it.
Here's another problem that's related to what Carl just brought up is there's no way, given our current implementation, for us to refresh the PLOs in Canvas. Not only that, but even if we refreshed the PLOs that are in Canvas outcomes, you'd still have to pull them into your rubrics again. Mm-hmm. So what Carl's saying is the PLOs and curriculum in general is a moving target. And as it's changed, we need a way to refresh that. Now, when we brought in the PLOs last summer, we kind of also brought in their effective date. So if we were to reload that stuff, which in and of itself is kind of a nightmare because of format discrepancies between what comes out of curriculum and what Canvas needs. Again, we'd need to make sure that's sane in Canvas. We want to have one copy of the PLOs. We don't want to have multiple copies that then when faculty go out and look for a PLO, they're faced with, okay, which one do I use? Okay, so we'd need support to do that. Okay, and I was hoping to get support to do that over the summer to refresh the PLOs going into a new cycle. But to be honest, if we're going to finish the current cycle, we're going to leave the PLOs the way they are. So they're the PLOs that were current in June of 2025. Okay, and if anything has changed between June of 25 and now, or 24, I'm sorry, whenever it was we started this, okay, we're done. That's it. Okay, so we have to basically take snapshots every 3 years. Now, from what I understood, and Liz, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Heliocampus has a way to handle that. So they're always using the fresh stuff, okay, from curriculum.
I don't remember, Marianne.
Okay, but I mean,
Sorry.
that's an ongoing problem because you want the current PLOs for your program. You don't want something that was current 3 years ago. The way we're doing it right now, everything is static once we upload PLOs. They're not going to change in the middle of the cycle, even if CCTA does. Okay, so Carl, that wouldn't really be an issue other than the fact you might be assessing the wrong PLO.
Yes, and that's what you and I had figured out. But in the end, I say because within the engineering program for this cycle, one class specifically was assessed that the electrical engineering students take. One was specifically assessed that the mechanical engineering students take. That accounts for about 80% of the students. The remaining 7 assessments were done in the 2 courses that all engineering students are required to take, because that's the more broad one. The problem is that it's those 2 classes that everybody has to take are the ones that could potentially change. In fact, as the instructional council chair, we're going to talk about that today in today's meeting. So
Gotcha.
again, as far as the PLOs, if it were up to me, I'd say do the exact same ones now that we know what we're doing. But they may not apply.
Right.
So I don't know.
Does anybody have an objective with paring down the PLOs? Because again, a lot of programs, as we mentioned before, have in excess of 8 to 10 of them. And that's a struggle, okay, for faculty to try to get through all of them. I wasn't aware when we started this journey that it was up to us to decide what to assess. So we just made the decision, we're going to assess everything. I would imagine too, if we pick 6 of the PLOs, it's possible the HLC will want to know, well, what judgment criterion did you use to pick those 6 as opposed to the other 6? What do you think of that going forward for the next cycle? You think a subset's okay? Would you be willing to come up with justifications as to how you pick PLOs to assess? Any thoughts on that? Just speak up, because like I said, I can't see you.
I don't.
Marian,
Go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say, last time, it was the first time for me to attend the HLC conference. And what really struck me was there were several presentations actually addressing this, that this is not feasible to look at all the PLOs all the time. So I think it's very common practice. I just want to mention this before we think that this is unheard of if we skim it down.
Thanks, Christine. I think we've learned from experience that it's a little bit unfeasible or infeasible to do everything if you have like 12 or 14 PLOs.
Marianne, for me, if somebody asked me why I did it, it would be what courses I was teaching.
Right. I think the majority of us have figured out that most of the PLOs, with the exception of a few, are tagged to the majority of the courses in our program. I've only seen a couple, like a handful of programs where the PLOs are not like that. So to Liz's point, what we can do and what Carl said, we could basically have PLOs assessed in the classes that we offer every semester or almost every semester, the ones that everybody takes all the time. I know with math, we had a heck of a hard time with one PLO because we were going to assess it in a 200 level class that hardly ever makes enrollment. So, you know, we wound up being able to catch that class once, and we had to change the whole assessment plan to make sure, okay, we're going to do it now because the class is running now. But maybe rather than doing that, we just say, all right, assess everything in the classes you know that you teach that always run. What do you think of that?
Sounds good to me.
Anybody else?
After thinking about this, I think if we were to do that, I don't think I would have a problem with that. And I think the reason why I'm just concerned is that prior to this year, engineering always had just the regular 9. And it was when Chandler Gilbert, and I'm not slamming them, when they entered in a bunch more that previously weren't there, but they were for specific classes that not everybody takes. So I think if we were to do it for ones that are offered every semester that students always take, I
Mhm.
think that would be the better one, at least from the engineering perspective, because that's the ones that they start with. The only place that I see a potential problem with that is when they get into the upper level 200 level classes. How do we know that we're providing what we're supposed to be providing for those? So I
Right.
was lucky that 60% of my students take the mechanical engineering classes, so I could pull from that. But I wouldn't have a problem with it. I would wonder what the questions would be.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Carl. If you remember, guys, when you first looked at your program assessment matrices and you picked what courses were assessing the PLO at an introductory level, a reinforcement level, a mastery level. You remember that? What Carl's saying, and it's really true, is at this rate, if we do that, if we focus on the courses that we know always make, we're never going to be assessing at the mastery level because
Yes,
those
that
those
you
are
say that
happening.
much better than I do.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's also correlated to the other issue of why students can't complete programs at South,
Mm.
right? Because those 200 level classes don't run. Okay,
Um,
so we have a lot of like issues that are connected here. Go ahead, Liz.
Marianne, I wasn't suggesting that we not, I didn't understand that you were suggesting that we not assess those 200 level courses. As you know, I want to assess every class every time. And that's why I want, better tools. But no, we have to assess those second level classes.
Right. And again, it's connected to the issue of getting those 200 level classes to actually run here.
To make. Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Well, most of mine run on about 2-year cycles. So they cycle through. So for me anyway.
Okay. Maybe what we can do is we would have to redo our program assessment plans at the beginning of a new cycle. So if we are in a situation where a 200 level class, say, only runs in the fall, we'd have to make sure that when we built our plan, if we were going to assess in that class, that we put it in a fall semester. So we'd have to make sure the assessment plan syncs up with the actual class schedule, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All
And
right.
we're looking at that. I mean, we end up looking at that anyway. So sometimes the class that you're intending to assess that semester doesn't make. So you have to change your plan. And Marianne, the thing I've always appreciated about your approach is that you always say it's your assessment plan. You alter it. You make the changes you need to make to keep it current. And we just have to, then let you all in the assessment committee know what those changes are so the documents are current in the institution.
Right. And what we've been doing with whenever you guys make changes to an assessment plan, we use the Google Docs versioning system. So we can get to your old ones as well. But when you actually look at your assessment plan, you're going to see the most current version. So the fact that Google Docs has versioning is really, really helpful. Otherwise, we'd have a million copies of the same thing. Okay. So let's see. One other thing related to assessment kind of is Christine and I attended the Academic Affairs Council meeting this past Tuesday, and we presented the current assessment handbook, as there were some concerns that had not gone through shared governance given the amount of updates that happened to it. We got a couple of comments that have to do with just making sure it's up to date, it's refreshed. There are some links in there that may have gotten broken. There are some old information that hasn't been updated. Not as far as our process, but this is figures showing examples of direct assessment from other colleges. And the comment was made, why are you picking stuff from another college? Why don't you just use what we do at South? And it's like, point well taken. Okay, there was another thing that was, I guess, about 12 years old, and somebody questioned the relevance of something that was 12 years old. So what we're going to do is go through it over the summer, make sure everything is up to date, and incorporate any of the feedback we got from the Academic Affairs Council meeting. And the other thing that we thought of was there's some stuff in the assessment handbook that's related to program review. And we were thinking we should really split that out into a separate document, since one of the issues VHLC had with us was us muddling program review and assessment. So that's another thing we were thinking of doing, pulling the program review stuff out of the assessment handbook and creating a standalone document. There was a lot of feedback at the Academic Affairs Council about putting other things like the budget process and putting programs on moratorium process and a whole lot of things that don't, to me, seem to be related to program review. But I had the impression they want them documented somewhere. So let's put them in your document. Okay. So that's one of the things we'll be working on over the summer as well. Okay. Anybody have any feedback on that or updates or things you want to see in those documents? Okay. Well, then going forward with program review, okay, we have basically program reviews for CFAS and BHS. We've gotten the BHS one. We've gotten a couple from CFAS. Those are due by next Friday, the 15th. Okay, Christine and I have provided feedback on the first drafts. Okay, so we're expecting final drafts from all the writers. Again, if you go to this assessment tracker for spring, all the way past the PLOs, you can see here's a program review tracker. So you can see we've gotten history, storytelling, theater arts, and BHS. Okay, we also have these two non-instructional ones. Okay, anybody got comments on program review? Okay. All right, not hearing or seeing anything. I'll keep
My
going.
only comment was that was a beast.
That was a beast. Well, it's like almost 50 pages, Brielle, so it's amazing.
I'm really sorry.
No, that's fine. It's what you need to do. It's a 4-year program, so you have a lot of supporting data in there. Okay, the April MAC meeting, basically a couple of things that they're doing. MAC has made a position statement on the RFA growth and reflection. Feedback to the RFACT. Basically, they're saying they want assessment to be a required component of faculty self-evaluation. So again, we haven't received any feedback from the RFACT because that just got sent out. They also are creating an impact report to district leadership to kind of sell assessment to our district executive leadership. Like, why is it important? Why is it important that we kind of do this collectively rather than in 10 separate silos, which is the whole point of the Maricopa Assessment Committee. Basically, then we have we're working on a document that talks about annual reporting across colleges. We're currently not doing any kind of an annual report, and we thought it might be better to wait until we had completed one cycle of assessment before we even consider that. But a lot of the colleges, at least PV and Glendale, do create annual reports. Some do it by program, some do it cumulatively across all programs. And I think when we get closer to that, like when we complete a full assessment cycle, we can talk about how you want that to look. Should we do it by program or in general? And then do you want that to be a public thing? Do you want it on Inside South? What do you think about, publicizing our efforts? I mean, do you want to keep it all under, behind a login wall, or what do you think about that?
Part of me says to make it public because I want everybody to know how awesome we are. But at the same time, that opens the door to people who are stupid and don't really know what they're talking about.
Yeah, there is that, Carl.
And I'm glad that got recorded.
Glendale has theirs, I believe theirs is public, so is Paradise Valley. Again, as I think Estrella's is behind a login wall, which again, we can get to all of those because we have Maricopa logins. So we can see what's on any of our sister colleges' intranets. That's a good point. Okay, again, maybe that's something, once we're actually ready to do that, we can talk more about that. Okay. Anybody have anything else to add? Again, we kind of already talked about Helio Campus. One of the things that's coming, folks, and I apologize that this is so late in the game, but Ken wanted to set up a demo with Scottsdale, who also is in the process of implementing Helio Campus. They're nowhere near as far along as Chandler Gilbert, but he wants to have them demo to us next week, which I reminded him is final exam week. And he said, that's okay. The Scottsdale folks are flexible. They can do it anytime. So I did send out a doodle poll to all of you early in this week. Okay, so please search your inbox for something from me to try to set a time, okay, for this. Okay, and I apologize. I know it's during finals week and you're busy, but if you're interested in seeing what Scottsdale has done, we'll probably set up a demo Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of next week, because Friday we'll all be at graduation.
Marianne, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So, I went to the Helio campus demo and, I guess like my main takeaway from it was a question about how this is not something that the district pays for, but that this is something that each individual college is responsible for. Since this is like a shared, like we all have to do assessment, and it definitely feels like a problem to me that the smaller colleges aren't able to have access to the same software that our sister colleges have. And I'm sure I'm not saying like a hot take right now, but it does. I just am wondering, like, technically, why is this something the district isn't responsible for, since we all have to do assessment, and they were able to find funding for accessibility software for Canvas when that was something that we were all dealing with, and this is something we're all dealing with, and I'm just like, there's got to be money.
Okay, so here's my take. And again, if anybody else has additional information, if you have an ear on the ground in some other venue where you're getting information, please share. My understanding is the reason the district is not just buying a license for all 10 is basically their take on it is we're separately accredited. It's up to you how you do assessment. That is at least what we keep hearing. Okay. Also, several of the larger colleges who have much larger IT staffs than we do have rolled their own assessment programs. Okay. And they don't want to change. They like what they've built and they don't want to change. But then they have IT staff who can support it. Okay. They also, I don't know if you're aware, but most of the CTLs have 3 to 5 people working under the director. Okay. And so, I mean, instructional designers, Canvas administrators, people with varied skill sets. and we don't have that same level of staffing. So what I'm more concerned about, I do think Ken has actually found the funds to pay for the licenses, but the concern is on an ongoing basis, can we actually effectively run this software? Okay, because there's a huge lift to implement it. Okay, and then there's the ongoing IT support and CTL support to keep it running. So I don't think the issue, Jess, is so much money for licenses. It's that ongoing support, which is the same issue in a different dress, right? It's basically, why isn't the district providing the support we need to do what we have to do? And again, the story we always get is, well, you're all separately accredited, so you're all doing it however you're doing it.
So we're
Not
all
very,
doing
yeah.
multiple jobs, in other words.
Right, and we're all doing the same thing 10 times over in slightly different ways, which to me sounds, well, like the definition of insanity, but okay.
Yeah.
I threw
Uh,
in the chat a question, and I don't know if it's realistic or not, but
Go ahead.
if other larger schools have more resources than we have, and they already have a strategy for doing it, instead of coming out of pocket and trying to recreate the wheel, could we just contract with them to help us?
Well, again, when we spoke with Chandler Gilbert, they were very giving, and they said, we would be more than happy to help you set this up and point you to all the gotchas. But I think the problem there is Helio Campus would view us as a separate installation. Do you mean we would run our assessment data through Chandler Gilbert's software? I think the issue there might have to do with SIS, since SIS is connected to every campus separately. As a matter of fact, when Jeremy Tuddy brought up, he was showing us some of the behind the scenes data. Okay, when stuff comes out of SIS, there's a little numeric code in front of each data field that identifies the college it's associated with. Chandler Gilbert is 08 and we are 07. So I don't know if it would work for us to try to filter our stuff through their software, but that's a great idea.
Oh, thanks. I just wondered if we could be a little satellite of something.
Yeah, I'm going to put that in the notes. Okay, anybody else have any other comments? Okay, for some of you, I know this will be your last meeting with us. And again, I want to say how much we appreciate having you with us. I mean, you've been fantastic. I know we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from your program leads about how helpful you've been and how you were willing to answer a million questions. And we really appreciate that. And again, you're a repository of expertise going forward. So even if you're not on this committee, you're still an ex-assessment fellow, ex officio. Anybody have anything else before we end for the day? Christine, do you have anything you want to add? Or
No, I just want to thank everyone. It's, yeah, I know. I felt it. I felt it with you.
yeah.
So it's, yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been, I mean, so much better than just the two of us doing it ourselves. We can't tell you how much we appreciate all of your efforts. So thank you again.
Well, we
Okay.
have to thank you and Christine, Marianne, because as much as I mean, I don't feel like I did as much, certainly not compared to Brielle or to Richard. And you were always there weighing in too. So I think that you were right there behind us every step we made and guiding us. So thank you very much.
Thanks,
I was
Liz.
the same thing. Thank you so much. I've learned so much through this process, and I'm very grateful for leaders who help guide and direct that along the way and who are so gracious on that significant learning curve.
Oh, yeah, significant indeed. Well, it's a team effort. Assessment's a team effort. And I think that's part of what you all are socializing
Mhm.
throughout our
Yeah.
campus is we need everybody's input.
Mhm.
This is not a one or two person show. Okay. It's all
No.
of us all together all the time. So again, thanks so much.
See you all next week at graduation.
Yep. Have a good one, guys. It's
Bye,
been a
everybody.
pleasure.
Okay,
Bye.
Bye.